they're trying to make a boys brand a girls brand. They're trying to force it. They're trying to force this.
It was originally a boys
Star Wars
brand.
has always been a male-dominated thing for the longest time.
Men like it more than women, maybe, but it's not.
No. I got to correct you on that. After Return of the Jedi and before Phantom Menace, we are the ones who kept Star Wars in business. Boys, men bought those figures, those lunch pails, those comic books. Some girls did. But come on, being a Star Wars nerd back in the day was not a cool thing. It was not cool.
It was my tweet that went viral. That one of the biggest mistakes in entertainment history was turning Marvel and Star Wars into girl brands. So let me say, by the way, Star Wars is a boy brand that women can like.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Ashton, who is Barbie for?
I mean, that is marketed towards women, definitely.
Yes, and guys can like Barbie. And
okay,
I'll just say
not enough to sustain it.
But it's different because was Star Wars ever directly marketed towards boys?
Yes.
Boys, everything. It was
Who bought the toys? Who bought the toys?
Yeah. You had like 99% boys and 1% girls.
The person who I know who loves Star Wars the most, who has like an entire room in their house dedicated to Star Wars and Star Trek, who has been buying the toys since the movies first came out, is my mother.
That's the exception. That's the exception, not the norm.
There's 100 guys to every one girl, basically, who does that.
I mean, it was always.
It doesn't make it a boys brand, though.
It was a boys brand that girls got to enjoy.
It was marketed to boys, but girls could enjoy it, but it was marketed to boys.
Yeah.
Disney bought it so that they could corner the boy brand market, but Disney does not know how to sell to boys. That's their problem. That's why they turned it into a girl
I am going to disagree with you. We can agree to disagree. However, I will say this, is that Star Wars does have a huge female audience now, and Disney is trying to market off of that same female audience, but they're failing at it because they don't understand how to write female characters.
I agree with that. But how big is the female? I'd like to know how big that female base. That's what I really. And what does it break down to? Are we talking about women who were in love with the original trilogy, or are we talking about a new generation? That's what I'd like to know.
Most women I know like the original trilogy the most, or I like the prequels more. But I'm also not a huge Star Wars person. I'm also a sucker for anti-hero stories and hero to villain stories, because that's just me. But most women I know like the originals.
Like, did you like Rey, or who was the one?
I hated Rey.
The purple-haired one in Last Jedi. Holdo. I can't remember these names. I remember everybody.
I don't like any of these new female characters.
Yeah,
I think they're
not
written
strong.
poorly. I think they're written bland. I think they're written in the worst way possible. It's almost an insult to women. And again, I will say this: I consider myself a feminist, but feminist characters were done best in Hollywood in the 80s and 90s.
Amen. One of my favorite is La Femme Nikita.
I'd say it's in 1977 when the movie came out during the summer. When I went back to school in the 4th grade, I can tell you, I made a lot of guy friends who were fellow Star Wars fans, and not a single girl was in that group.
Yeah,
the thing is girls liked it, but you cannot sustain it.
You can't small population.
There's not enough girls who like Star Wars enough to be able to sustain it economically. It was the boys.
Maybe it wasn't back in the day, but now it's a much larger crowd of women who like Star Wars.
I'd really love to know.
I also consider myself more of a Lord of the Rings person than I do Star Wars. So, but the people that I do know that are females do prefer the original movies compared to everything else. Most people I know in general, even women, don't like Rey as a character, don't like a lot of these new characters. So it's not just men who have issue with it.
I mean, it
goes back to the lack of masculinity, though, right? People love those old characters because they were masculine. Han Solo was a masculine guy. Even Luke, though he was naive, he manned up and did the things he was supposed to do to save the universe, right? Like, women like that, and what Disney is doing is stripping masculinity away from Star Wars, and by doing that, they are killing it.
Ashton, let me explain it this way, okay? And I know also Anna, that Star Wars girl. I know you know her, are friends with her. She's a massive Star Wars fan. She has geek cred She's amazing. She is an anomaly. Most fans of Star Wars I know that are women are casual fans, and they do things like buy her universe clothes, and they don't buy a room full of action figures and starships and all. They don't get into the nerdy gear porn that mostly guys are into. But women can like Star Wars. I'm not going to say they're not female Star Wars fans, but it's primarily a boys brand. For example, Alan and I, who are two heterosexual, well, I guess are we both white men? I don't know. Are you considered white, Alan? I don't know.
No.
He and I are going to start.
Let me identify with your group.
We're going to start a women's cosmetic brand. I think we would do a terrible job of it. And I feel that many of, and not to say there have not been amazing women that have contributed to Star Wars. Carrie Fisher, Marsha Lucas won an Oscar, but primarily it's for boys and best understood by male creators. I know I'll be taken out of context. It sounds sexist, but it's so obvious.
I don't think it sounds sexist. I think what I think's coming down to, I think you guys are talking about statistically men like it more, which I can agree with.
Oh, no, I think it's the community. What would we, I say it's like 95% men. That's a brand for men. It doesn't mean women can't enjoy it. I would have. I
know that's not what you're saying. No, I'm not claiming you guys are being sexist pigs or anything like that. I just happen to know a lot of women who enjoy Star Wars. That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's the problem.
I wasn't.
I'm sorry. Here's the problem. Let's take your argument as fact that it's equal boys and girls.
It's not equal. Roughly, I wasn't saying that at all.
I'm just saying for the sake of argument, let's accept that. The problem with Disney Star Wars as of late, from I'd say Kenobi to now, is that it feels like they've completely cut off the boys from Star Wars. And that
I can agree with that statement for sure. It definitely feels like they're trying to market it more toward. I will agree with you guys on the statement that they're definitely trying to market towards more women who aren't already into Star Wars. But the problem is people who already don't like Star Wars, you can't really convince them to like a franchise they already don't like.
Yeah, they act like they're going to win over new female fans who have never seen Star Wars.